and every one of you formally. Okay, so my name is Mira Farisha binti Muhammad Faisal, and I am your chairperson and your timekeeper for these sessions, these debate sessions. So I would like to introduce our judge. Our judge for this session. So we have Brother Adam Haikal. So welcome, Brother Adam, again. Okay, so before we begin, I will briefly explain the rules. So speeches should be 7 minutes in duration. Speakers exceeding this may be penalized but should never be substantially less than this. So a bell will be rung after every consecutive minute. After 6 minutes, the bell will be rung twice. So after 7 minutes, the bell will be rung until the speaker stops delivering their speech. So POIs can only be offered after the expiration of 1 minute and may not be given after the expiration of 6 minutes. POIs may only be given to opposing teams and should be generally not more than 15 seconds in duration. So if the speaker exceeds the 15-second duration, the chairperson may request the speaker to end their POI. So the duration of the reply speech will be 4 minutes, and speakers must use formal language. Inappropriate language is prohibited. So debate sessions will always start the Prime Minister, then followed by the opposition leader, then Deputy Prime Minister, Deputy opposition leaders, then government sweep, and ends with the opposition sweep. So for reply speeches, both government and opposition sides are given 4 minutes of preparation for reply speeches. So with the rules explained, we will now continue with our second debate. So the motion before the House today is that this House will not allow corporations to donate to political parties, campaigns, or candidates. So the government team in this debate is EDIA. So the first speaker, we have Sister Balkis, and we have Sister Humaira as the second speaker, and Brother Usman as the third speaker. And the reply speech will be delivered by Brother Usman. Yeah. And the opposition team in this debate are METC A. So we have Brother Najwan as the first speaker, Sister Bushra as the second speaker, and Sister Anis as the third speaker. And the reply speech will be delivered by Sister Bushra. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Sister Balkis from the government team, to the floor to open the debate.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. A very good afternoon. I would like to wish the Honourable Auditor, precise timekeeper, member of the government, fellow member of the opposition, and member of the floor. We are gathered here today to debate on a very important motion that is the House will not cooperate to donate to political parties, campaigns, and all candidates. And we, the government, strongly support this motion. Please allow me to start off by specifying my role and the role of my fellow members of the opposition. I, as the leader of the government, will define some of the keyword in this motion. Following this, I will present the first point of the government side. The role of my second speaker here is to rebut the points given by the opposition, and then she will go on to present 2 additional new points that will further support the government case. Finally, the third speaker of the government has the simple task at hand to rebut all the points put forward by the opposition while reaffirming the government case. Before I move on to our first point of the day, I would like to clarify the definition of certain words from our side. We, the government side, define cooperation as the process of groups of organized organism working or acting together for common mutual or some underlying benefits as opposed to working in competition for selfish benefit. And besides that, to elaborate, donation is a gift for charity, humanitarian aid, or to benefit a cause. A donation may take a various form, including money, alms, service, or goods such as clothing, toys, food, and as well known as money. To make of gift especially to a charity or public institution. And lastly, to define what is politics. Politics is the set of activities that are associated with making decision in a group or other forms of power relations among individuals, such as distribution of resources or status. The branch of social science that studies politics and government is referred to as political science. This brings up to the first point of the government, which is slow aids. Slow aids. When a company donates money to political parties, the money would be used by the politicians in aiding the public when these problems arises. For example, national disaster. However, the process takes a long time for the money to be approved for the usage of the public. That is why the company should not be allowed to donate to political parties, campaigns, or candidates. Sorry for that. In December 2021, Malaysia was hit with one of the worst flood ever in decades. The diplomatic report that even though there were a lot of donation that have been given to the politics, and yet over 68,000 people who have evacuated from their homes grow frustration over the politicians' slow response to distributing aids and other reliefs. From the accidents, it is as clear as crystal that corporations should not be allowed to donate to politics, even if the intention of it to help the citizen in need, since corporation can just directly donate to the civilian society to help the citizen in much faster speed. Before I rest my case, I would like to reaffirm our stand that we, the government, agree on the House motion, which is the House will not allow corporations to donate political parties, campaigns, or candidates. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Balkis. So now, please, we are going to welcome the first speaker of the opposition. So we have Brother Najwan to open the case for their side.
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I will start my argument. I'll start my side in 3, 2, 1. So today, I, as the leader of opposition, will state the motion for today is this House will not allow corporations to donate to political campaigns or candidates. But first, I will state my roles for today, which is I, as the leader of opposition, will define the motion and then explain 2 arguments from the opposition team. And then the second speaker from the opposition team will rebut the arguments from the government team and also add 2 more additional points from our team. And the third speaker will rebut all of the arguments from the opposition team and defend the arguments from our team. And so I will first explain or define the motion for today's debate. So for today, this House will not allow corporations, which is for corporation is the best business entity that is owned by its shareholders, which is also includes government-linked corporations such as Petronas and Felcra. To donate is to fund, to provide service, or to contribute, not limited to cash, but also in terms of monetary gain or gifts. And so the campaigns is a form of getting in touch with the citizens, and political parties is the organization that serve and advocate their political ideas and also compete in elections. And so I will first rebut the arguments from the government team, which is they said that the corporations is that the corporations is has selfish benefits, and I wouldn't want to rebut that not all corporation actually has their own selfish goals they want to achieve. And also the second rebuttals that I want to say is that the responsibility to help citizens did not mainly fall on corporations, which means that corporations does not have the total responsibility, especially NGOs, to help the citizens. And most of the help is usually comes from the government itself. And so I will go to my first argument for today, which is political funding needs to be enforced under a law. And so I will say that the political funding needs to be put limitations to it. And also it needs to be disclosed to be reviewed by all people. This will allow transparency, and people will be able to review the political funding by corporations that has been given to the parties and the candidates. In such a way, it will actually able to combat corruption. And so the citizens too will be able to differentiate between a good company or a bad company. And so if the political party is supported or be donated by acceptable or good company or corporations, they will be able to have much more trust and support that political party. But well, if it's actually unacceptable or a bad corporation, it will try to vote the other party because they will find unreliable to their votes. And so from and as for a fact, Singapore, Australia, and Germany has already created this law, has already making this law in motion. In fact, Singapore is the number 4 company with the most low corruptive index. And so it will, and I will try to, I will state the Political Donations Act by from the Singapore country. It prohibits political associations and candidates from accepting donations except from permissible donors, and restricts the receipt of anonymous donations to less than 5,000 in total per reporting period. And so it is acceptable for the political funding to be initiated and not totally banned whatsoever. And so my second argument is political campaigning needs budget. If the political parties does not receive donations, the political campaign by that party will not have enough budget and falter. And this is because the budget that is used by the corporations will fund these political campaigns, and so this the candidates for the parties will lose votes not because of their bad character, but they lack the effort. They lack the but the lack of effort to inform the public about their potential and reliability. And so if we try to ban if they try to ban corporations from donating to political parties, then the money needs to come from somewhere else. And so this will lead to public funding, which means that the tax will be increased. And this will actually cause the taxpayers to bear a bigger burden to fund the elections. And so I will, before I end my speech, I will reinstate my arguments. First is political funding needs to be enforced under law. And the second is political campaigning needs budget. And so I rest my case. Thank you.
I would like to thank Brother Najwan for their speech, and now I'll call upon the second speaker of the government, Sister Humaira, to continue the debate from their side.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. A very good afternoon I would like to wish to the honorable educators, precise timekeepers, members of the government, fellow members of the opposition, and members of the floor. As my Prime Minister have stated, we are here to debate on a very important motion, which is this House will not allow corporations to donate to political parties, campaigns, or candidates. And we, the government side, strongly support this motion. Before I go to my points, allow me to highlight some flaws made by the opposition. The opposition side stated that not all companies have selfish benefits, and that they should put political funding to a limit. However, the company use their own money. However, the motion that we are debating is about the company use their own fund in their own company to donate to the political parties. If the opposition side is stating that we should put political funding to a limit, it's not very relatable to the topic that we are debating about, considering that the political funding is based on what the government has given to the political parties for them to do campaigns and for them to win the elections in the upcoming event. This brings us to the second point of the government, which is unfairness. Big political parties will tend to have a lot of relationship with a lot of big corporations. This perspective will be a problem since it is most likely for the corporation to donate to that politician if they were allowed to. This will make the election unfair since the parties that are competing will not be standing on the same ground anymore. Based on a report that was written by Maggie Cart in 2019, more than 19% of candidates who spend the most win the elections. From 2004 through 2018, there was only one election cycle where there was a true, which was in 2010. In that election, only 86% of the top spenders won, said Sheila Krumholz, Executive Director of the Center for Responsive Politics, a non-partisan research group that tracks campaign, fundraising, and spending. Overall, advertising ends up being the major expense for campaigns and public, said Travis Ridout, Professor of Government and Public Policy at Washington State. Bonica, a political expert, also said, money matters a great deal in elections. He believes when scientists go looking for its impact, they tend to look in the wrong place. If you focus on general elections, he said, your view is going to be obscured by the fact that 80 to 90% of congressional races have outcomes that are effectively predetermined by the district's partisan makeup. Hence, it is very unfair for political parties to receive donation from any type of corporation, considering that the elections are still given ridiculous sums of money because, again, big donors from big corporations to support the political parties that they have chosen in the beginning. The third point of the government is corruption. Corruption can be defined as an abuse of power for one's private gains, and it can take many forms. From politicians misusing public funds to government officials, involves in bribes in exchange for services. Corruption can happen anytime, anywhere, and behind closed doors. The cost of corruption exceeds monetary value in that it infringes your rights and the rule of law, besides carrying it with its grave socio-economic and political impact. We have to remember one thing, that political parties and candidates that will be trusted, the political parties and candidates will be trusted to govern the country, will be the one who is responsible for our own country's development in the future. So if these people were to receive donation, not small ones, not 1,000 or 2, it could sometimes be somewhere around 50,000 and what Malaysian ringgits, only for one corporation alone. But it will be expected then for them to return the favor to those corporations that give those political donation. Hence, we simplify them by calling them bribery. Company will use the excuse of donating money to the political parties for them to help the country develop in the future. However, it is actually bribery, and in return, they will get an easy pass for illegal transactions, and the political parties that one would turn a blind eye on their law-breaking trades. For example, according to Free Malaysian News articles written by Ahmad Khalil, the FMT reporters on 6 January 2023 recently stated that the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has arrested the CEO of a private company for illegally serving as a middleman in the distribution of government projects. A source close to the matter linked the arrest to MCC investigation. The source said MCC had opened investigation papers into at least 5 individuals believed to have been involved in helping companies obtain projects worth between 50 million to 500 million through direct negotiation linked to the stimulus package. The source added that several contractors were also questioned, admitted to agreeing to pay a commission of between 3 to 5% to be deposited into the account of a political party, which was supposedly meant as political funding. Before I rest my case, I would like to affirm our stand that is we the government agree on the House motion, which is this House will not allow corporations to donate to political parties, campaigns, or candidates. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sister Humaira. Now I call upon the second speaker of the opposition team, Sister Bushra, to continue the case for their side.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes, all right. I will start in 1, 2, 3. Good afternoon, and I bid to the honorable judges, the respected timekeeper, the team in government, and also my teammates from the opposition side, and also the members of the floor. Assalamualaikum, and I'm your deputy leader of opposition for today, and will be opposing for today's motion, which is this House would not allow corporations to donate to political parties, campaigns, or candidates. First of all, let me tell you my job for today, which is first, I will rebut the arguments delivered from the government team, and secondly, I will propose another arguments from the opposition side to oppose this motion for today. First of all, the government said about unfairness when we allow corporations to donate to political parties, campaigns, or candidates, because it will cause unfairness to political parties when these corporations donates to their favorite parties. But this is also the point of democracy, which is allowed in this country. Basically, democracy is a freedom of association, expression, and opinion within the law, which means that the corporations should be allowed to donate to their favorite parties because this is their rights as their own citizens. Also, they can use the money gained from their interest and profit to fund the political parties so that the campaigns can be successfully done during the election day. Secondly, I would like to rebut the point of corruption that has been mentioned from the government side. This is why the opposition side has proposed to strengthen the law, which is we put the limitation and also to enforce disclosure from corporations to donate when they need to give donations to the political parties, campaigns on candidates, so that they did not exceed the limit. Wait, let me finish. So that did not exceed the limit that they have to help the campaigns during the election day, so that the democracy in this country could be continued. Okay, you can proceed.
So about the you say about the making the rules, I think that is not suitable for this debate, because in this debate it says that this house would not allow the corporation to donate to political parties, campaigns, or candidate. It doesn't say about anything to make other rules so that we can allow the corporation to make donation to the political parties. So.
All right, thank you. As the opposition side, we will already agree the corporations to donate to political parties, campaigns, or candidates. But then we would also did not deny there were also a bit of corruptions and also unfairness, which comes from bribery and else. But then this could be settled within the law, which is why we also presented the law to you. Let me allow to go to the second argument. First of all, we would like to propose the first argument. We would like to propose the second argument, which is prevention from burden the citizens. If the corporation didn't donate to the political parties, campaigns, or candidates, this will cause a problem to the citizens, because if the corporations didn't donate, then who will? The responsibility would fall to the responsibility could fall to the citizens, which could raise the price of taxes, and it will give the burden to the low-income households, which we know not everyone in this country has equal salary and all. This could cause protests and also conflict in the country, which could disrupt the peace. And also, it would not only harm the innocent citizens, but also the frontliners. For the end of the debate, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the opposition would oppose this motion because, first of all, our argument is the corporations has their rights to support political parties, and secondly, this could prevent from burdening the citizens in the long term. And with this, we hereby proudly oppose to this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Bushra. So now let's welcome the third speaker of the government, Brother Usman, to the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. A very good afternoon. I would like to wish to the Honorable auditors, precise timekeepers, members of the government, fellow members of the opposition, and members of the floor. My role, I will, as a third speaker, I will rebut all the points that put forward by the opposition while referring the my government points. So firstly, you stated that you wanted to put limits on how many donation that can be made from a corporation to a politics parties. But how can we trust it that the limits that you trying to enforce is can be trusted, and the corporation does not give lots more money than they should have? You also say that you wanted to disclose everything so that the citizen can know the information of the donation that is given from the corporation to the political parties. But what happened if the political parties change the disclosed information so that the citizen will get the wrong information of the usage of the donations? And also, Singapore is one of the smallest countries in the whole world, and also Singapore is only mainly for tourism. So it's likely, it's highly likely that they will have a lot of profits from the tourism, and because of that, the corruption in that country is very low, and not because of that limit donation to the parties. As for your second point, you say that the tax will rise if we doesn't donate the money to the if corporation do not donate money to the politicians. But the problem is, doesn't the tax is controlled by the government? How does the political can control the tax if they are not even a government yet? And also, what if happen if the money will fall into the hands of the public? Sorry, what happened if that money that have been donated to the politicals will not be handed to the hand of the public? Can we have anyone? Can you guys agree on you guys agree that there are corruption, just like you said, if we did not enforce the law or limit, there are corruption in these countries. So basically, you agree to our point that we could not allow corporation to donate to political parties, campaign, and also candidates. As to strengthen our point, I would say that is slow aids, even though politicals is not the main force to help the citizen, but it's one of the way for them to show their patriotism, and also to show to make the campaign by helping the citizen. So so there's a lot of people wanted to donate to the politicians so that they can help to help the citizen. But the problem is when citizens donate to the politics, the corporation donates to the politics, the aids become slower because the politics need to do a process of process to know where the money goes and whatnot. Because I know that there are some politics that is good in this world, but even though they are good politics, there are still a process that they need to be done so that the money can be the aids can be given to the citizens. As for our second point, we say it's very unfair. Yes, it's very unfair because as we stated just now, a lot of the candidates that win have spent a lot of their money in the elections. So by having corporation cannot donate to the politics parties, it will make the spending even better, because all the politics will need to think wisely how to use their money. And the last point, corruption. As you guys already agree that without putting the limit enforcement, there will be corruption. So I don't think that I will need to furthermore explain on this point. Before I rest my case, I would like to reaffirm our stand that is the government agree on the House motion, which is the House would not allow cooperation to donate to political parties, campaigns, or candidates. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Osman. So last but definitely not least, I welcome the third speaker from the opposition side, Sister Anis, to the floor.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon. I bid to the honorable judges, respected timekeepers, as well as the members of the floor. So as a third speaker on the opposition team, my role would be to rebut on all of the points from the government team. So first of all, the government team states that we should not allow these corporations to donate because it will slow the aid given to the citizens. However, I would like to say that this, would you rather not receive any help at all than not getting any help? It's better than nothing to get something, even if you have to wait for it, right? So, and you say that the politicians themselves have to give the money to the citizens, but there are cases where the politicians would not have enough money, and this is where they need these corporations donations. So through this, even though it will take some time to process all the donations, it will still be something for the citizens, and it would ease the burden on the citizens themselves. All right. On to the second point. You say that it is unfair for the corporations to donate to the political parties. I would like to state that this all depends on the political parties themselves. If their manifestos and if their objectives are good and if they're good for the country, then they will receive a lot of support from a lot of corporations. So therefore, it is all depends on the political parties themselves. And is, as my second speaker also said, this is the point of democracy where freedom of opinions are given to all the citizens. So therefore, even these corporations counts as the citizens themselves. So they should be given the right to donate to these political parties. You also say on the rebuttal of the third speaker of the government say that the law, no, I'm sorry. Law is ruled not only by the government, but also mainly under the court, which is led by the judges, lawyers. So this helps with ensuring that the donations are according to the law. So therefore, we don't have to worry much about the corruption, which is also why one of our points is to allow these donations only if it is according to the law. So I would like to restate all of the points given by the opposition team today. The first of all, we say that this house should allow the corporations to donate to the political parties because these political campaigns will need budget as to not burden the citizens with too much tax. No thanks. Also, it will prevent from burdening the citizens. And last but not least, all the citizens should be allowed to support every political party that they wanted. So therefore, I raise my case, and I would like to say that the opposition team proudly goes against the motion that this house would not allow corporations to donate to political parties, campaigns, and/or candidates. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Anis. So now it is time for the preparation of reply speeches. So the time given for each team will be 4 minutes. Debaters, please use the 4 minutes to prepare your reply speeches. So your time is up. So it is now the time for the reply speeches, starting first with the opposition. Please welcome the opposition summary speaker, Sister Anis. I'm so sorry, Sister Bushra.
Okay. Can you hear me loud and clear? Yes. Good. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to the members of the House. Here I stand again to sum up our rebuttal and points and also make a conclusion on our substance. The opposition team has forwarded the government team has forwarded us with 3 unconvincing points. The first speaker has touched on the slow aids from the government, and the second speaker has stated that the unfairness to other parties, and the third speaker highlighted that the corruption of the government. In my respected audience, now allow me to sum up the unquestionable motion. Here are why we should support. Here are why we should oppose to this motion for today. First of all, our arguments are realistic because we know that without funds, the elections could fail, and also this means that democracy in this country would fall. Second, and then the corporations are the best options for searching funding for politics because they are wealthy than the citizens themselves. And also, this could put restrictions to minimize corruption when we put the laws to regulate their donations to the political parties. Secondly, our argument supports democracy because we allow the corporations, which represents all business, which is not government organizations, to have the power to choose in supporting their own preferred political parties. Third, our arguments will help the economy because it will prevent higher taxes to the citizens, and the political parties will not have to resort to other methods to gain funds to run the parties, which could cause the loss of funds in the government bank, which could affect our economy in the future. So I appeal to the House to agree. So I appeal to the House to oppose with the government team and to no avail to let it end in this moment. We oppose the motion proudly. With that, I bring down my case. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to thank the speaker for the summary and welcome the last speaker of the government, Brother Usman, to sum up for their team and the debate as a whole.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now reached to our end. We, the government team, plead to Madam Chairperson to choose us because we are the right choices as we already have presented foolproof debate. While the opposition team are not confident enough for what they stand for since they have already rejected our POI twice. Why are they running away from the question of their own idealizations? That is why I suggest you guys to choose us as the winner of this debate. I thank you guys for listening to our pleas with the correct choices. Our country with the wrong choice, our country will fall down. God bless Malaysia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all the speakers for the great debate. So let's give everyone a round of applause. Okay, so dear judge, you have a maximum of 10 minutes to give your verbal adjudications. The floor is now yours, Brother.
All right. Can I have just 1 minute?
Yes, of course.
All right.
See the clear line between bribery and donations. It will remain blurry and offers opportunity for corruptions to happen. So that is why we as a movement today come up with our mechanism.
Hello. All right, so I'll start my OA right now. So I'm gonna divide my OA into three parts. First, I'm gonna tell you the general comments regarding the debate. Secondly, I'm gonna give you the verdict, and then I'm gonna give you the justification and just a little bit of personal feedback. So first of all, general comments. I think that sorry, am I audible? Can I ask? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Okay, thank you. So I think that the debate in general I think it was a really interesting debate, and I think it was a slightly above average debate. However, with that being said, there were a lot of points given by both sides where I felt that the arguments could have not only been elaborated further and analyzed deeper, but I thought that the arguments could have. There were a few arguments where I felt like it either didn't make sense, or there were certain arguments that were like there were really good arguments, but like the side that were giving the argument weren't really emphasizing and weaponizing the argument to really take down the opposition. So what happened was the entirety of the debate felt very, very close because there was like lots of issues that I felt
Kau tak makan
that-
apa-apa langsung ke? That's mantap Pak Abu. Ush.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so that was the general comments on the debate. I think it could have been a lot deeper and under both sides, but I think it was good enough to the point where I get where both sides were coming from in their directions from the very get-go. So with that being said, I'm now going to give the verdict. I think it was a very close debate, and unfortunately, it wasn't necessarily because one side like destroyed the other. I just thought that on the basis of argumentation, one side had a little bit more like made a little bit more sense in their argumentation. So I'm really sorry, but like can everyone who's like turning on their mic, can you like turn it off for a minute? Okay. All right. So I give it's a very close debate, but I give the win to Op. And the reason, and here's my justification. So the government, there were like two main arguments that I saw. One of them was about how donation is rather slow to give to these companies, and therefore to these political parties, and therefore when you give donations, political parties they're gonna be more reliant on it, and therefore like it's gonna be hard. the second argument from government was that donation leads to corruption. Under op, there was an argument of unfair budget. There was a very, very underdeveloped like one-line argument about rights that went nowhere. But it was still an okay argument if it was explored further. And finally, there was an argument about not burdening the people. So the biggest clash I can see in this debate was about corruption. And the reason is simple. So government said this. Government basically said, well, in terms of budget, right? Government said when there is donations, not every political party will receive the same donations. So therefore, the team that
starting first with the opposition, please welcome the opposition summary speaker.
So like on the so what happened was sorry, I lost my track there. Sorry, all right, so government was basically saying when there is more donations, certain parties will receive more donations compared to other parties, and therefore it leads to like the power scale being unbalanced, and therefore making it unfair. Therefore, that's not what democracy should be. Democracy should be fair. And then up went up and said, well, certain parties, well, like by default, certain parties are by default going to be a lot poorer or have a lot less financial capabilities compared to other parties. And what Op said was that what Op said was that it's a lot more likely that these donations is going to be used to help poorer parties to excel. On that note, I think that was the biggest clash. But I thought that no one really took it home and really hammered home the argument of why it's more likely, like their argument is more likely than the other side. Because these are two arguments that are basically like they go straight forward for each other. However, I have to side with Op just a little bit in this case because Op at the very least Op said, well, it's like in most cases, if a political party does good things, that it's likely that people will like form corporations or stuff like that to help these political parties. But then I receive like very one-liner responses or rebuttals coming from government and to take that down. But like at the end of the day, if that justification like stood out just a little bit compared to what government brought up, which was why donation does not lead to when donation leads to an uneven balance of power. I see that for me, I see that it's just a little bit more likely for donations to lead to a more balanced power. And the reason was because Op had the justification. Because government didn't gut the argument well enough for me to really buy that, it's a lot more likely for donation to lead to corruption and stuff like that. So because there was it's not that the argument wasn't good, it's just that government didn't guard that argument as well as Op did. And therefore on that clash, I gave it to Op. But the second thing here that I noticed Op did was about how government gave one big thing, which was about how corporation the first argument was like slowing down AIDS, right? So like here's the problem I have with the argument. The argument makes no sense when it came because the argument was delivered by the Prime Minister, but that didn't that completely contradicted what like PM said, because PM talked about how corporations are selfish, and therefore like if corporations are selfish, why would corporations try to give donations for the purpose of AIDS in the first place? If corporations are selfish, then it's highly likely that corporations will use that that money to help themselves, and that's where corruption happens. And the justification came from LO, but LO just mentioned it, but he didn't really use that point as a rebuttal. It was a good characterization, but it didn't really hit home lah. Both the general thing that I can see this debate is that both sides they were tickling, you guys were tickling each other, but no one really punched each other's argument to the core. So, and I think that the other thing, the other reason I give Op the win was the one I can't really give Op like credit for the rights argument because I thought it was a very one-liner and I get the argument, but I didn't understand why it was so important. Not in the second speaker and not in the whip. And it was an argument that the second speaker introduced, and I didn't hear any like justification as to why it's so important. So I couldn't credit you on that. However, the argument about not burdening people, I think it was mentioned by both the LO and the LO about how when there is more when corporations don't give money, therefore the only way that political parties want to get money is through tax. The thing here is government could have easily said that, well, that's not how the world works. Tax isn't going to be used for political campaigns. But it came so late through that rebuttal came very late. Like it was one of the government whip's last rebuttal, and therefore I couldn't really credit you on that. However, I do appreciate. I could credit the effort of you trying to bring back that argument and trying to rebut it. So at the end of the day, because there was just a very small there's a very small margin of justification of likelihood from opposition for me to give opposition the win. So like in this debate in particular, the debate was won on the basis of not who has the strongest argument, but whose argument is more likely. So because I bought Op's argument just a little bit more, just because they have a little bit more analysis and they guarded their argument better, I give this win to Op. So that's my justification. Would there like to be any questions? Hello? So I assume there's not going to be any questions. So yeah, that's all from me. And good luck for the next rounds.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Adam, for the comment and advice. So congratulations to all debaters and thank you to our judge. So we will continue the next session at 2:30 for the roll call. So thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.